All right, it is Monday. Oh man, let's Paul. All right, it is Monday, May 25th, 2026. This is, I guess, the 21st, 22nd episode straight of Motivated Monday. Now, I've done this longer than that. However, this is me being consistent. So today we were actually talking about consistency and confidence, right? So let me ask you something. How many times have you waited to feel confident before you took action, before the call, before the workout, before chasing the goal you keep thinking about late at night? But confidence doesn't work that way. It doesn't. It's not something you wait for. It's something you build. Okay. One action at a time, one hard moment at a time, one more set, right? Because there are days when your body will say stop, the mind says quit, and everything in you wants to be done. You felt that before, haven't you? The voice that says skip it today, start tomorrow, you've done enough. And then there's another voice. The voice that says one more call, one more email, one more follow up, one more walk, one more step, one more rep, one more moment where one more moment where you refuse to give in. And most people don't realize that extra effort, that extra step, that is where confidence is built. It's not when things feel easy, right? Like not when you feel motivated, but when you're tired and you do it anyway. So today I want you to think about this. What does one more look like for you? Because your goals, your future, your life, they're built in those moments, not giant moments, small moments, repeated consistently. And every time you choose one more, you become stronger than the voice telling you to quit. Right. So, I mean, and one of the things wanted to talk about, right? Consistency builds confidence. And one of the things I touched on is like, how many times have you waited to feel confident, right? Like, I could say when I got started in real estate, and I would be thinking, okay, I got to make these calls, and I hated making calls. Right? I was terrified to make calls. I hated the rejection. Didn't want people to get mad at me. All the things that you can tell yourself to say, I don't want to do the work. And I would spend, I would take 5 minutes on like being like, all right, what am I going to say? Like, what all right, I got to call John Smith today, and I'm going to say A, and hopefully they say B, and then I say C, and I'd be thinking about all the things, and then I would call and I'd get a voicemail. Like, I wasted so much time trying to figure out what to say because I wasn't confident, right? And it was through that action of doing it over and over again when I made so many calls, thousands of calls per week when I got my start, uh, when I built my business. I hated making the calls, right? Absolutely terrified of the cold call, the pit of my stomach fear. And it was through repeated action, doing it over and over and over again, one small moment at a time that built the confidence that turned me into, you know, what I am today as far as the ability to have those conversations when it comes to real estate and making calls, right? If I like, you give me a phone number, I'll get on the call. I'll make the call. No fear. Doesn't matter who I'm calling anymore. And I'll see, if I can help them in any kind of way whatsoever, right? And that's the place where you want to be when it comes to building your business as a real estate agent. But how do you take that and apply that to your life, right? What kind of confidence do you need to apply to what you want in life? Because that is what is important. Like, again, we all have our strengths, right? We all have our weaknesses. And when, you know, my strength might be your weakness and my weakness might be your strength. There we go. So what, how do you apply this to you for your business? Only you can answer that question. In your life, it doesn't necessarily have to be, just business, right? It can be your personal life too, right? It can be the goals that you have, you know, physically, in your relationships, whatever that is. Sometimes it is, it comes to getting in shape, right? You have a goal of wanting to run a 5K or a 10K or being able to lift so much weight or just being in better shape so that life is easier. And it's easy to be scared and intimidated because you don't have the confidence. You don't know what to do when you do the work, right? And I have friends, a friend just recently reached out to me and said, "Hey, Tony, can you help me build a workout? I'm not really sure what to do." And this is someone who's, a state champion wrestler, but he hasn't done it in so long. He needed the help. So maybe that's one of the things that you can do to help build your confidence, right? Asking for help, getting that help. Um, you know, Confidence isn't something you wait for. It is something you build through daily, consistent action, right? So, and where has one of the questions I have about my three questions are where has consistency built confidence before? And again, I think as I was just talking about doing the cold calls over and over, um, thousands of them, week after week after week, built that confidence for me, right? It gave me the ability to say, I can do this, right? And and it was by hitting that button and saying go, right? And having that call list ready, be able to go rep after rep after rep without pausing. That is so incredibly important for building that, right? I didn't have to say, okay, let me make one call. Now let me figure out, let me find who's the next person am I going to call, right? Let me scroll through my list. No, I have a list, right? I had a to-do list, a task list, and I kept doing the work. So that helped me get into a rhythm. You get into a rhythm of doing something that's going to help you get better at it, right? So, what proof can you create this week when it comes to building your business, right? To getting after your goals? And that is a question you have to ask. Like for me this week, is going to be continuously doing the work. And that's one of the biggest things I am a proponent of. It's just consistency, right? Like, and this week I will continue working on my YouTube channels. I will continue doing my, workouts, training, getting better at what I do there. And trying to hit some pretty lofty goals for a 48-year-old man. I am trying to get faster at running a 5K, and it is hard. It's incredibly hard. Mm, and, a story I like to talk about when it comes to consistency. When I started working out, I had a goal of bench pressing 300 pounds. I was 6'1", about 135 pounds. And even one of my parents' friends were like, hey, sometimes it's just not possible, like genetically. Like you may not ever be able to do that. Ooh, you tell me something like you can't do that. I am going to get up and do the work, hide and watch. And ultimately, that goal took close to, I think, 8 years. Um, I was about 20, 23, 24 years old, and I was working out, and I was like, the math says I can bench press 300 pounds, right? If you can bench press, they say 225 10 times, you can, anyway. So I went to the gym and I did the work and I warmed up and I did a couple reps at like 275. I was like, all right, great. And I think I went to 290. I said, all right, let's hit 300. And I just threw 300 up. And I said, all right, let me keep increasing the weight. And I kept increasing the weight, kept increasing. I had bench press 345 pounds that day. I was pumped. I was like, all right, I'm done. Don't need to do any more. And ultimately, like that came through consistent work over time. I tell a lot of people there wasn't a lot that I was really good at in life that I felt I was naturally talented at. I mean, I probably definitely have my natural talents, but it was through consistently doing the same action over and over again to get better at it is how I got really good at what I do. So ultimately, at anything I do, is just consistently doing over and over, starting really bad at what I do. And I started check out my YouTube channel, right? Check out the ATL tour, like the way those first videos looked. Um, on that channel versus how they're coming out now. Granted, yes, I've hired an editor, but we have been crafting it and developing it together over time. And it's gotten better and better and better, right? And I will continue to get better and better. And you can even look at the thumbnails, right? Changes in the thumbnails, like all the little things, like the way it's put together, the text, the graphics, the fonts, all the things are getting more and more dialed in over time because it's consistency over time that we have been working on, and I've been working on for that. So next question is, I guess, so what proof can you create this week? And for me, it's going to be doing the work, continuing to step up and be consistent in all the things that I am working at right now. And then finally, who are you becoming through consistency, right? Like, what does that mean to you? Like, what does being consistency, what kind of person is that going to create for you? And I can say, for me, the person I'm becoming is the person I am. I am a confident person, especially in the things that I do, the things that I know how to do. I know how to have a conversation with people, right? I know how to follow up. I know how to design a fitness program. I know how to, create videos for YouTube. I'm trying to get better at that. Building that slowly over time with consistency. And that's one of the big things I will continue to work on. So, who do you become through consistency? Only you can answer that question. Who do you want to become? Right? And ultimately, that's what you're creating is the person you want to become by consistency, by regularly doing that thing. Right? You want to be more well-read, read more books. Right? You want to get in better shape. You need to work out regularly. These are things that are built in small, incremental steps. Ultimately. So today, it's just me up here chatting, talking, hearing the sound of my own voice. Last week, we talked about tracking the work, right? Like making sure you track the work like every week. So I want you to, we talk about consistency here, right? What is important to you? What matters to you in your life? Track that, right? Make sure you have that, and I track a lot of different things when it comes to my goals to make sure I am getting better. Recently, I decided, given my age, I'm actually going to just start an injury tracker, right? And just so I know month over month, and I can look back over the last year and say, okay, here's where I had tweaks, here's where I had strains, here's what hurt, here's what didn't hurt, and just a little body map, right? I'm gonna draw a map of the human body, and please my art, and like this would be like January week 1, and like like a little circle there, like the foot, the ankle, have a little note next to it, and just have a pad of paper, right? That's something I'm tracking, so that I can make sure I know what has been holding me back or what I need to pay attention to when it comes to my fitness goals, right? That's just something small, but it's an odd thing to track. Some people might never think of that, right? But when it comes to fitness goals, you absolutely have to track, what you're eating, what you're doing, how far you're running, how much you're lifting. And I think this is just a new one for me, so I can help pay attention to. Say, hey, here's what I need to protect. Make sure I'm doing, whatever the exercise, the stretches required to protect that part of my body. If I have a nagging injury that is month over month, or nagging strain. So, yes, that being said, it was just me today. Before you move on with your day, I want you to honestly think about something. What is actually important with you? Not what sounds good, not what other people expect from you, not what looks impressive online. What matters to you? Because once you get that clear, once you're clear on that for you, everything changes, right? The extra call has meaning. The discipline has meaning. The hard days have meaning. And without clarity, you quit when things become uncomfortable, right? But when you know what you're fighting for, you keep going, even when you're tired, even when you are frustrated, and even when you feel like you have nothing left. And the truth is, you're going to hear that voice again. I hear it almost every single day. I'm too tired to do the work. I can't do it. You can't. You're done. Stop now. That voice never fully disappears. But the confidence is built every time you answer back with action. Every time you choose movement over excuses, every time you put one foot in front of the other, every time you choose one more, one more effort, one more uncomfortable moment, one day refusing to give up on yourself because motivation fades. It always does. That's life, right? That's reality. But the person who keeps showing up anyway, that person becomes unstoppable. So today, figure out what matters to you. Okay. Get clear on your goals. And when life tells you to stop, choose one more action. This is Tony Toich signing off for Motivated Monday. Good morning and good luck.